ongoing project, SOILSCAPE. So, as you know, perhaps SOILSCAPE is originated from the soil missions, from the European soil missions. So it's you see that the title is quite complicated, spreading open, inclusive literacy and soil culture through artistic practice and education. But in short, it's really linked to the increasing of the awareness of the citizen for soil preservation through, that is the really originality of Soilscape, through artistic mediation. So it's can say that I am a scientist perhaps, and I am not the best guy to perhaps engage motivation or um, I will say that to engage our emotion on soil, we need another way to show the soil, and the mediation, the artistic mediation, is a good way to do that. So Soilscape is all about that. So we have, in fact, we have 6 different objectives. The first one is really linked to the increasing the perception of soil through the human-soil relationship. So it's really to understand it and mapping these current societal perceptions. The second one is more linked to the construction, the elaboration of a soil network. We call that the Soil Orchestra. And I will go further on this point. And we already engaged more than 440 multidisciplinary European actors. The third one is more linked to the launching of an open call on soil literacy. So we have already done this open call on Soilscape. We engaged more than 2.5 million euros on that, and we select 36 projects. I will not have the time to describe that, but I will be able to answer some of your questions about it. And the four objective is to link to empowerment. So we try to empower more than 5,000 citizens and professionals to positively care about soils, because we can think that in the citizen we have a lot of negative way to think about soil. And so we will organize too what we call a soil literacy festival. You have to put in your agenda that in the 20 and 22 and 23rd of May, I have a doubt, I think it's 21 and 22, sorry, of May in Angers, we will organize the first French Festival of Arts and Soil. And I really invite you to participate to this really original and first event. Another festival will be organized in Portugal on April. And next year, we will have 8 festivals organized in the 8 countries engaged in the Soilscape project. And the last point is perhaps the objective which can be very interesting for the participants of CURIOSOIL. So we want this project not to last just 4 years, but to be a sustainable project. That means that we want to extend this orchestra and this symphony beyond Europe, or even in other countries not engaged in Europe in this Soilscape project. And that will be perhaps the DNA of the presentation. So the Soilscape project encompass more than 11 countries and 19 partners. I will not go through it, but you see that just the diversity of partners. We have university, we have UNESCO, everybody know it. We have association. So what are the main key results expect of this project? We have 10 different key results. I will not go into detail on this slide. I will prefer to focus on 4 points, which can be more interesting for the CURIOSOIL community. The first one is this Soilscape network, because to build a network is something not so easy to do. So we have the tools to do it. We deliver a soul literacy press kit, and we organize the Soulscape Festival, as I told you before. And to organize it, we have done a soul literacy starter pack, which we just delivered the first version of it. So it's still an ongoing project. And we built a roadmap for building this orchestra. So I think this tool could be really interesting for the CURIOSOIL community if you want to organize in your region, in your community, in your town, such an event. So where we are now, we're, I think, in the middle of the road. The project started 2 years ago. So we are, and will last 4 years. So it will end in 2028. So we already make what we say the working package one on contemplation. It's a form of survey, a form of assessment of what exists in Europe in terms of soul and arts. So we have a big capacity matrix with a lot of artists or people or soul heroes engaged in this soul and art assessment. The Soul 2 was more preparation. So we prepare the Soul Festival, we prepare the Soul Orchestra, we launch this open call. And now we will, in the next year, work on this sustainability, the fact that how we can spread this project to all the countries in Europe interested in soil preservation. So if I want to summarize what I have already, what I said is the fact that Soulscape is a symphony of soul and art connected to three main events: the Soul Festival, the Soul Orchestra, and the open call. So to do that, as I told you before, we built some tools. I highlight the tool here. So the first tool we built with this soul literacy starter pack and the catalog of best soul literacy practice. This is already done. Even if the soul literacy starter pack will evolve during the project, so we have just delivered the first version of it. In terms of writing, we deliver an innovative press kit for soul communication. I will show you some elements of this press kit. And we will do, this is not already done, an atlas of artistic soul-related activity and art products. I think this is the kind of delivery which can interest a lot of people, and a soul literacy portal. So we have a lot of debate about this soul literacy portal because, as you may know, there is a lot of projects linked to soil in the European community. And so the project Soulscape by itself was not big enough to deliver a soil literacy portal. So we really want to focus within this portal on the soul and art, and build with the other mission project like CURIOSOIL this soul literacy portal. And this is something we can discuss further. And of course, organize this soul festival. And at the political level, we will have some policy recommendation and a roadmap for Soulscape Symphony, how to build a network of soul and arts. So let's see some example about the tools we have made. So the first one was the Soul Media Kit. So in Soul Media Kit, you will find educational ideas, advocated toolbox for Soul. So I think all this tool will be very nice for your community. I will just show you a tool we have done within AFES, which is the Fresque du Sol in French and Soul College in English. I don't know if you are aware of this Fresque du Sol, but it has been translated in different languages, French and Spanish, English, even Thai, and I think it's Khmer too, so in some other. So it's what we call a serious game with 50 cards I will not, again, I will not have the time to really describe it, but it's a very nice tool. And I do it a lot because you can do it in school, you can do it in society, you can do it with friends, and to initiate the people around you on the soil complexity. And the second tool is this soil literacy starter pack. So what is a soil literacy starter pack? I try to summarize it here. It's really a step-by-step guide to create and help organization to design, launch, animate, and sustain soil orchestra. It's really a tool to build a soil orchestra. And so we already built 8 different soil orchestra in Finland, in Portugal, in Bulgaria, in Poland, Germany, Switzerland, French, and Italy. So this is 8 countries involved in this building of soil orchestra. Even if we are 11 countries in the project, not all the country will organize a soil festival. Only 8 within the 11 will organize it. And so what is a soil orchestra? So it's a multidisciplinary group of around 15 to 25, 30 members. So bringing together educator, artists, civil society organization, different kinds of stakeholders, public and private institutions. And they work together to design and implement creative art-based activity. So really it's a network which the goal is to create festival, events, exposition, museum, whatever, to link to this to this increasing of awareness about soil protection. So here you have all the countries which are going to organize a soil orchestra, which are going now, they already organize it within Europe. And so the first physical meeting of the soil orchestra was done in the last semester of 2025. So, and so here, this is a French one, but this is a Polish one, and I will not be able to see in detail who is who. But you see that it was organized all around Europe, and they are now working on this Soil and Art Festival. We have made a little song when we meet now, and so this was a way to engage people at the beginning of each reunion. So we sang in Poland. That was done in Poland, and it was very nice for us to. It's a good beginning when you sing to be together.
Was there sound, Alain? Is there supposed to be sound now?
In fact, it's a song I didn't knew. So it's an English song and done by folk. It's a folk song, in fact.
Yeah,
So
we don't
it's
hear it.
more linked to roots growing. This is the text you can see, perhaps not really well. We contact the singer to be able to really spread the song, but we are not. I can't tell you now if we have all the authorization to do that now. So, but it's a really nice song it's quite a short one. So it's good, for example, when we begin a meeting, we begin to sing this song, and after we begin the meeting, and it was a nice way to engage people at the beginning, and after the breakfast. It was nice to do that. But I will, if you're interested, I can send you the reference of this song.
Yes, definitely.
So I think I am
will
not
be an
I'm not far from the end. So as I told you, this journey is just beginning, and we are currently building this global network of soil and art orchestra. And so in creating this guide to empower volunteers to launch their own orchestra in their home country, and this is exactly what we would like you to do. And if you want to do that, really don't hesitate to contact us. And I put here the 2 person really in the AFS, which are in charge of this project. Megan, which is a project officer, and Sophia Rose, which is a director of AFS. So both of them are really deeply involved in that. And I am open to any question you have about the project. And thank you again, Abdul and Curiosity and your CURIOSOIL project to give me this opportunity to present this really nice project.
No, no, thank you for joining, and I really see the complementarity, and I can ask now for the participants. So we had a present
Do I
a slide
stop
present.
the
Maybe
sharing?
maybe just a little bit. It's good maybe for people to write the emails. And I have another questions because we heard about soilscape objectives, and I am curious out of the 6 that were mentioned, which is the one you resonate the most. So just to see from the CURIOSOIL Community of Practice, what is the best link to create with Soilscape. And I will use that information for my communications with you, how to share engagement opportunities coming from Soilscape. While giving a bit of time, there's quite some content to read. How about, Alain, if we can go back to the slide of the countries covered? I see a question about the UK, about Turkey for participation.
This one?
Exactly, yes. So well, as we can see, indeed, Turkey could be one of the potential FSTP recipients, and likewise for the UK. So you could be participating in that scheme.
Yes, we have. So you see different. For example, we have Greece involved. They will not organize a Soulscape festival, but they are involved. Like Kenya, we have also an African country involved in it with ICRAF, but again, they will not organize it. And the idea is they will really take the advantage of this organization done during the Soulscape project to create further their own festival, but not during the project. I don't know if I was clear enough about that.
Thank you for the votes and thank you for the explanations. So you're not making my life easier because you want it all. All objectives are important somehow, but I can see, yes, the empowerment, that's a significant one. Empowerment of professionals so that they can care about soil. Yes, question about Greece. How could you clarify, Alain? How is Greece involved? Thank you, Panagota, for the question.
In fact, Chris was the one who organized this the launching of the project. So they were the one which was in charge to make what we call the FSTP. So it was a big organization and they've done a really wonderful work about it. And but I think they are how can I say that? It's a little bit difficult to answer for the Greece people, but it looks like they are not the level of maturation of the soul arts in their countries, not perhaps the same than in other countries. So they need a little more time than other countries to build that. But it's more an hypothesis that's really a fact. So perhaps we can. I will ask Sophie about it. Because when we build the project, each country have to say if they want or don't want to organize this Soul Festival in their own countries. And so this was
And thank you for the feedback about my audio. It's true. It should be a bit further. Thank you, Alain. And maybe one news that is mainly for French participants of the Community of Practice. SOILSCAPE will organize a hackathon in 2 weeks, a SOILSCAPE hackathon on how to spread soil awareness through art.
yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
That's keep in touch for other festivals and other engagement opportunities. Thank you, Alain, for today. Yeah, wishing you. And the list of festivals, well, the best way is to follow SOILSCAPE on the social medias and on their newsletter. I think the next one is in Portugal.
Yeah, we do have. I engage you to, I suggest that you can visit the website too, because in the website you will find a lot of information, a lot of photography too about different kind of arts. And as I told you before, we are running for volunteers to organize the Soul Festival. So if you are interested, and I think in other countries it will be the same next year, that you can perhaps be a volunteer to co-organize with our partners the Soul and Arts Festival.
Specific question about how can we connect to the regional orchestras?
Again, send an email to or Megan or Sophie, and we will be able to make this connection. Do you want me to put the email in the chat?
I just did. So I guess it's the same answers for you, Marta, as well, and for you, Georgie. How to get access, how to get involved in your country, and voila. Get in touch with the coordinators, and I'm glad there is interest and eagerness. Thank you, Alain, for today.
Thank you, Abdul, and have a nice meeting.
Thank you.
I perhaps will stay a little bit to discover a little bit CURIOSOIL. So
please, and
thank you.
We will continue now with the last reminder for the soil literacy assessment framework. And why am I saying the last? It's the deadline for this activity will be to conclude by the end of June, by mid-June. So for the next 3 months. Sorry for the back and forwards. For those who were there in December, we had received a bit of guidance from Ingrid. So I will be sharing. Unfortunately, she was not available today. She's teaching, so it's for very good reasons. So I will be sharing her introduction about the procedure on how to implement the soil literacy assessment framework. And then I will be inviting COP leaders who are coordinating in their countries, starting with France, on how it is going for now, and answering any of your questions on how you can liaise with your schools, with your teachers, and start with this key part of the CURIOSOIL project. So I'll start the sharing. Please let me know in the chat if there's any issue with the
giving me this space to update you on the SLAF implementation, and I would like to start by thanking you actually for all the efforts you have already undertaken to, well, at least to try to implement our questionnaires, to spread our questionnaires, to test soil literacy in the European people, the children, well, anyone really. And I know also that the implementation process, it's quite, let's say, difficult. We have been setting this up is not easy. And actually we do it all together because the problems you encounter come back to us and then we try to find solutions, etc. Getting the ethics, let's say, established was also very new to us. So that's the reason why it has all been, a bit delayed. And also, it was not easy to set it up, but we give it a try. And with this, so I will show you now 2 very important slides that should give a good hold on to implement our soil literacy assessment framework. And it actually starts with the timeline, which is new to you. We will be ongoing implementing the SLAF until June 2026. So I really hope this gives you some space to breathe, really. It gives us some space to breathe, so that's good. So we have some time to implement the questionnaires. The first step, the first question, so on this slide I show you 3 questions that are important to answer for yourself. So first, the first thing you need to consider is, what is my role really in the SLAF implementation? Am I a consortium researcher with ethical consent, for instance? Or am I a community of practice leader or member? Am I a facilitator? So that means without ethical consent. And the ethical consent means that you have ethical consent to do the research yourself, for instance. And not so many institutions so far within the project have this ethical consent. So most of us present now during this meeting, I'm sure will be facilitating, mostly facilitating. Well, that's the first question. The second question is, who is my target group? So who is your target group? Where are you going to spread the questionnaires? Is that primary education, secondary education, let's say below the age of consent, or general public? So that would include tertiary education, teachers, lifelong learners, anyone really above the age of consent. And today we focus mostly on primary and secondary education, where we need parental consent to spread the questionnaires among the students. So that's the second question. Now the third question is, what does it really mean to have consent or not to have no consent? So this becomes especially relevant if your target group is below the age of consent. And then I use my mouse here. So if you are a researcher with ethical consent, you may handle ethical consent forms yourself. So the ethical consent forms filled out by parents and students. You may then communicate a list of student names with parental consent yourself. You may distribute questionnaires yourself. So in that case, you have a bit more freedom to actually spread the questionnaire yourself, to find out which students have parental consent and can thus do the questionnaire. Now, in most cases, you will not have ethical consent, and then in that case, you cannot handle the ethical consent forms yourself. And therefore, we ask you, if you are a facilitator, to contact this email address to request for ethical consent forms. Well, and that's what the next slide will be about. So first, these 3 questions are important to answer for yourself, to check out what your role is and what you can actually do and what you cannot do. So the next slide shows the actual workflow, the steps you can take. And here again, you can see the 2 roles. So for consortium researchers and for facilitators, who can also be consortium facilitators or COP facilitators. And actually what we advise is that everyone does the same thing, basically. So follow these 5 steps. First, so step number 1 is to establish the commitment of the schools. So you come into contact with a teacher, a school, and then you identify which target groups you can test, you want to test, or are to be tested, classes, groups, students involved, primary education, secondary education, and you plan, let's say, together with the teacher or the school, an implementation date. That's step number 1. Then going to step number 2, So either facilitator or researcher can then send an email to this email address where you indicate the target group that's going to be tested on soil literacy, the language you require, so the language of the students, the country, the age of the student, so we can ensure we send you the right consent form, and also the implementation date. So we require this information to get back to you. And the outcome will be that you will receive the right link or QR code for the consent form, for the parental consent as well as the student consent. So we go to step number 3. So then you have the QR code we send you, and then you can send the teachers the QR code, and the teachers can send it to the parents. So the parents must, together with the children, with their child, do this consent. They need to fill out the consent form, and then we can see which parents have given their consent and which children have parental consent to do the questionnaire. The teacher need to set the deadline before the day that the parents have to have filled out the parental consent form. So we say this must be collected more than 3 days before the implementation date. So probably most of the time a reminder is needed, of course. Next step, so step number 4. So the deadline has passed for the parental consent form, and then you may contact us again. So the facilitator or the researcher contacts us again and requests a list of students who have the parental consent. So we are able to check that. And then we can give you a list of students who have the consent and can thus do the questionnaire. So that's the outcome of this, let's say, next email contact. So you receive the QR code for the right questionnaire. And then becomes the most important step. So the 5th step, prepare implementation. So the teachers receive then from you the QR codes with the questionnaire, or the link with the questionnaire, and the list of students who can actually take the questionnaire, they who can fill out the questionnaire. And only, and this is very important, so this 3rd point here, only the students with consent have access to the questionnaire. So no student without consent can fill out the questionnaire. And this is really, can't stress it enough, this is really very important, because if students fill out the questionnaire and they don't have the consent, then we can't use the data. That's just the ethical rules we have to comply to. So this is very important. And the 3rd bullet point here just means that you need to make sure of this. So only parental consent, students with parental consent can do the questionnaire, and other students in the same classroom read a book, do their homework, look out of the window, do something else. And maybe your help is needed into, achieving that. I think this is a good moment.
So this is, as Ingrid would say now, this is a good moment if there is any questions. And also I would like to invite those who already are doing it, already went through the implementation of the SLAF, to maybe share how did it go, and if there's something we missed in the process, or something we'd like to share to those who would jump in and do it. So I see a few COP leaders around the table. Yes, maybe Delphine?
Yes, I can just tell about France. We will start just next Thursday for 2 classes in college school. But the main difficulty for teachers is to get this ethical consent. And they are very afraid about it. So we have to tell them that it's not so difficult, because the parents can give their consent on their phone. So it's easier. And this is the main difficulty. And after, it's not so complicated, but this problem of ethical consent is difficult to manage.
Okay, and otherwise there's quite some interest, or are the teacher interested to do it? Are they eager to do it? Or
The teacher are very interested, but they are very afraid about this consent. I don't know. The other problem in France is because in primary school you don't have many possibility to answer the questionnaire with out of a
computer,
paper.
phone, yeah.
No, it's difficult.
Okay. Okay. Maybe one advice that we can give. So last week we were organizing the CURIOSOIL National Conference for France with Delphine, with Sophie from the AFES, and we were part, of such a bigger event with around 70, 80 teachers, and there was a lot of enthusiasm to do the soil literacy assessment framework. Also, there was some anxiety, but we got lots of names for the implementation. And apparently it feels like the good period now with spring in France. We ended school holidays last Monday, so there is a good, it is a good period right now to do it, and maybe the last one to meet to close it really in June, so we can process the data. And one of the main reasons we would like to stop before summer is because we are going to launch lessons to be implemented in school, other activities, so we want to have the assessment before we engage in any activity. That's the main objectives. Any other feedback on the implementation, on trying to reach out to schools and teachers to do it? Please, thank you, Armando.
Yeah, just a quick question in regards to getting the authorizations. I just see it as like a waste of data. If like we have maybe 15 authorizations and 16 questionnaires completed. If there was if we thought of a way that we could identify the student that did not get the authorization and just remove that data off the group, so we can use all the other data. But I don't know if that is possible because of everything is without identity, right?
Exactly, that's the main hardship. It's as any answer that is submitted, we do not know if that person has the consent or not. So which is the whole point, to be on an anonymous data set. So we cannot.
Yeah. Also, we spoke about the authorized person to go and maybe do a little intervention after the questionnaire. Is there still a possibility, or we're no longer thinking about doing that?
Yes, definitely. So before we didn't have the materials to share, but in a few minutes I will be inviting Mirte from the European School Head Association, who will introduce the piloting of the lessons plan, which are ready for piloting. So that would be excellent, actually, Armando. So
awesome.
Starting with this questionnaire, with this quiz, making a little review of the answers, and then engaging in a lesson. So we start with knowing our level, and then getting to a lesson. I very much agree. It doesn't have to be the same day either. It can be split because of time, because of scheduling. It can be in different.
And it's open to all the students, not just the ones with authorization.
Any other? Yeah. About how do we gather the feedback? This time, it will be the teacher who will provide feedback on how did it go, any advice on how to improve it. So there won't be any need for identification or consent needed there. It's an activity, and we assess how it went overall. Thank you, Armando. I'm glad, keep them going. If there is any other question on the soil literacy assessment framework, and it is a little hard to open that door, but then that door is open for the rest, for the lessons, for the other activities. So it is worth the investment. If not, I will be now reminding everybody about the World Soil Museum app, that is in beta since December. I presented to you last December. Up. I will be sharing the link on the chat, do not worry. So, and I will be sharing also short videos on the demonstration to share that we've been in beta testing in English since December. And soon now we're gonna launch the piloting in Portuguese, Slovenian, and Spanish in three languages for the piloting. And that piloting will also end by the beginning of July. And after this one, we'll launch the translation in all languages. So let me start with sharing a little introduction made by Laura from the World Soil Museum of what it is.
Get into the first section, which is the stories. These stories are all about soils that we have in our museum. So, as I already mentioned, all the content is currently grouped. There's not yet linked to users, so a way to communicate towards the app testers for whom the content is made. We put between brackets if it's for kids or if it is for adults, like here. So make sure to check that before you start reading so you know for who the user group is. All the kids stories are written in the same way. As you can see at the bottom left part, you see in the green card, you see 2 stops. That means that if you open a story and you start reading, you're gonna get a first stop, which is this one, and this is basically the story. And then you can also go into the second stop, which is basically a small story explanation as well as an interactive quiz. So have a look at that. We also have, currently we have photos, videos, 3D objects, and questions as interactive means features, I guess it's called. So some of those features, we are looking into expanding them. We would really love to have, for example, with this 3D model, to have points on the soul profile where people can interact. If you click on them, you can you get content or you get quiz or anything like that. So we are looking into ameliorating that. But currently, you can just interact with this profile by moving it around, basically. So this is, all the kids stories are made in the same way. So yeah, have a look at the kids stories, and then the adult stories are built with 4 stops each time, where you first have, the first stop is about the event, get an introduction to the event. Then you get a stop card about the soul profile. The third stop is about the story of that soil profile. And the last stop is about the scientific insights, let's say.
Voila. So I will be sharing the link again in the chat. You will also receive it by email, and it works much better on the phone than on the laptop for sure. So this is the link I'm sharing with you is the feedback form. So you can let us know what you thought about it, which feature you preferred, any bugs that you've witnessed, any mistake on the content. And I will invite you to have it on your phone. It's actually one of the best, let's say, business card for soil educators. Okay, sound, thank you. I will move it again in front. One of the best, let's say, introductory card about soil education. You have the World Soil Museum in your pocket. I cannot say it any better, with content for both adults, for adults and kids. And we are very much looking forward for the feedback before we launch the translations in all languages. So as I mentioned, we will be starting now with the Portuguese, Slovenian, and Spanish. And the main reason is we will have events in those countries, so in the next 3 months. So that's what gave us the priority to start the translation and proofreading. And we're wondering for the next ones, which would be the priority for the other languages. So that's my question to you. if you'd like to pilot this in the next 3 months, really in the next 3 months, please let us know and choose your country so we can assess which translation to prioritize for the next 3 months. Everything will be translated within the year. It's just to manage our workload and our priority. Everything will be translated in 11 languages of the CURIOSOIL project. Yes, Alain?
Yes, thank you. Yes, as I say in the chat, that I'm really interested by these apps because we are within the SOILSCAPE project. One of the delivery we want is to organize to build a French soil museum. We don't have any French museum on soil currently, so I just want to know at what level you are about this. We can have it now, or it's an ongoing project, or at what stage are you?
The app is almost ready. We're in piloting mode to validate that it works correctly and that its features are functioning. It will be enriched over and over with different stories. So it's ready in English. And now we're going to launch it in Portuguese, Spanish, and Slovenian. And if France needs it as a priority, we can also start to prioritize the translation. So translation is 2 steps. It's automatic translations of all the content, and then proofreading it to ensure that it's fitting.
Yes,
and
if you want help for the translation, we can. I think in FS we have all. Yes, we will be really pleased if we can have it in French. Yes,
wonderful.
That will be something we can perhaps present to the Soul Festival. That will be great.
Exactly. I will be there in May for the Soul Festival in Agen.
So if you can present that, that would be great, Abdul.
And that's the same answer for Greece. I don't know which country you're talking about, Georgie. For other countries, if you are interested for the proofreading in your language, please send me an email. This is my email. We can take in charge the automatic translation. That is, maybe 90% good, and then it's the fine tuning where we need human skill and knowledge to finalize it. So voila, let me know, send me an email, dear Abdul. I'm interested into the proofreading in this language of the app, and we see how we can go. Yes, question from Uygun. Yeah.
Hi, this is Ergun from Turkey. I hope everyone is okay.
Yes.
Actually, when I first saw the app on LinkedIn, I connected it, and I also made the PR for my students, so they also enjoyed it, and we, worked on the stories of it. And I also get in touch with Mr. Stefan Mantel. So I asked him if we can do this Turkish part of the translation. And he said it would be very nice, but not until March, because we'll be working on the site till March. So the kids have already finished the translation, and I hope they will be the proofreaders of the Turkish part if everything goes well. And so that it will be a great memory for them and great motivation to be interested in soil. So I'm thanking you for the app and hope it will work out like the way we planned it.
Thank you for your testimony. It's really all thanks to the World Soil Museum and the ISRIC Institute who are working on it. And yes, we're doing our best to manage the translation in all languages. It's more on the practical side, limited time, limited budget to how to do it. But we did commit to 11 languages, and I'm very happy it extends to Turkish or Greece if you're interested to help us with the proofreading. And even if we don't achieve it in the project, CURIOSOIL, most of the deliverable will be open source and available to take further. So we're not blocking anything. It's we're giving a bit of a frame, of platform, and anyone is very welcome to take it further. Yes, maybe a question from Soren. How much work was the proofreading, Ergun? But I think you didn't do the proofreading. You did the translation.
They have done the translation. I told them that they can use the AI tools, and they brought it to me as an English teacher who is pretty sophisticated with Turkish too. I have done the proofreading, and it was just like Abdul said, it's like 95% correct, but still there are some parts that you need to, edit or to work on. We especially did the part which is made for the kids because I like the way it makes like using the storytelling techniques to tell how the soil takes parts in people's lives. So the translation was pretty successful with the AI tools, but it only took like, you know, some for each student, maybe 1 or 2 sentences in the whole story. So it's not that complicated for the part for the younger kids part.
Thank you for your testimony. And if you're passionate about soil, I don't think it feels like much work. It's like learning a bit more. The stories, even for the adult stories, they're quite enjoyable. I've learned a lot through it. So it's a bit win-win. Based on the results, so Portuguese is ahead. Good news, you are already within the scope. We got you. And then it would be Italy, Turkish is already done, and potentially Dutch. Okay, so and Finland, of course. Okay, thank you for the feedbacks. Again, it will be translated in all languages, but we will start with those since you expressed interest. And thank you. I already see in my email that I've received invitations to proofread in different languages. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, Soren, for this. And Panagiota, about the stories, who writes them? For now, it's the team of ISRIC, for the World Soil Museum, who is writing them and enriching the application. Voila. So as soon as the app is ready, I think we're going to launch a new call to enrich it and see how it can live as a good storybook. Any other question about the mobile app? I'm very happy about the enthusiasm about it. So I will say it out loud, Panagota, about your question. So as a team, we create stories in soil with students. Could they be part of the museum? I think, would you be okay to share your email with me in private, and I will put you in touch with Stefan and Laura and the team. Yes.
Of course, yes, I will.
And this is always an invitation to all of you. If you're here, you are soil educators or connected with soil education one way in another. Let's find synergies. Let's find ways for us to contribute to your events and work, and for you to do the same. Thank you. So we are slightly ahead of time, and Nirti is facilitating another event for CURIOSOIL. And the next point that we will introduce is around the lesson plan. I will let her present it of what it means to engage with students and teachers on how to share about the lesson plan. I'm going to talk about the piloting of it and what we have set up. So this is something I will be sharing with you at the end of this meeting. Voila. So from now, we will invite you, for those who speak in your schools French, English, or Dutch, to connect with primary, secondary, and higher education school for lessons around 4 core soil areas. Engage with your students, implement part of the lessons that we have designed, and invite you to give us feedback on how it went. So for now, we have 3 languages that have been translated, and the proofreading will be final. Sorry. Okay, still not. You cannot hear me well. Still a bit better. Always. Okay, I'm getting back on track. Voilà. Well, getting back on track. So we're inviting you for this part of the piloting, whether you're a primary, secondary, or university lecturer, asking you which country you will implement it, and especially which is your target group. To who do you will you implement the lessons plan? And we invite you to do one feedback per lessons that you will introduce. And Mirti has joined us, who will be presenting what it entails. And we're asking you different questions about how it went, how the concept was understood, what the quality of the materials, etc., etc. And we'll be using that for French, Dutch, and English. And as soon as we have enough feedback and enough improvement of what we have developed, we will launch the next wave of translation in all other language. Hello, Mirte.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank
I
you for
see you already
joining.
started. Oh, yes.
We
I
were a
hope you
little
can
bit
hear me well.
very well, much better than myself, apparently.
I don't know. Okay. 1 minute. I'm so sorry. I just came from a different meeting, but I think we're there. You already started introducing?
A little on the piloting part and how it will, which languages and what's the process. Otherwise, the floor is yours.
All right. I think I'll present. All right. So seeing as you already did an introduction, I will just continue and I will bring in a lot of enthusiasm. Because I'm actually very happy that with after we've done about 2 years of researching, of seeing what is out there when it comes to education materials. As you know, of course, we've been working on the MOOCs as well, but that we can finally actually share with you these lesson plans that contain so many interactive and great materials. I'll just go and show you. Thank you, Armando. I love that. I'm just going to go through and show you what we've actually created under this part. And then, well, we'll go again through the work package and how it relates to the other parts. And then pose the question to you. I meant to make a bit more interactive with how all the lesson plans came in, but basically what we've been doing is develop lesson plans and quality assurance guidelines. So when you're going to implement this, what are sort of the key points that you should pay attention to? Most educators will know, but it's still useful to be reminded or refreshing this sometimes. So we've developed lesson plans for primary education, secondary education, and tertiary education. Um, uh, and there's some different sort of timings related to it. So for primary education, we've developed a 2-hour lesson plans that is divided in some 20-minute exercises. In all honesty, they can be made longer very easily because it's so much fun and it's very interactive. So when it comes to primary education, we've developed it for, well, let's say, oh no, I can't see you. Oh, for age 8 to 11. And it's mostly to do with doing soil experiments. So like the image that you can see on the page on the right, similar to this, filtering water and what's the role of soil in this, among other exercises. It's about gaining soil knowledge, but also relating to the soils in your area, the soil in the neighborhood. And these are among the few exercises that are in there, making it very accessible, bringing it very close to the experienced world of students. And I will say this now, but this goes for all of the lesson plans. We've written out basically step by step what an educator would need to prepare, what to have present. So it's really just a matter of following that. Some things may need some preparation, so it's good to read through. But it's all very accessible. So for primary, it's a 2-hour lesson plan. For secondary, however, it's we've developed 6 lesson plans for different subjects. They're all about 1 hour, or well, we've aimed for 50 minutes, but we call them an hour. They're mostly aimed at the ages of 14 to 16, and there's one sort of bonus one that is for the elder ones. But we've developed a plan for integrating soil knowledge, soil science into arts, biology, chemistry, geography, ethics, and history. And then there's an extra one, which is for art drama. And as you can imagine, we try and integrate soil in different ways. So when it comes to art, of course, it's less sciencey and it's much more what can you do with art or what has been done with art in a more artistic way. Biology, chemistry is much more scientific, relating to the subjects there. And then when it comes to ethics, for example, well, it's really about answering ethical questions. How are we treating soil? And is that right? What is right and wrong there? And we tend to leave, there are some answers that can be given, but of course it's quite open. Anything for age 11 till 14, I think it's worth checking, because the thing is we've given it a rough estimate, but because different countries have different speeds or different orders in teaching, it can definitely be worth checking whether something is still appropriate for that age in your country. But this you'll know best probably. But that would be very valuable feedback as well. If you say, look, we did this lesson plan in this country at this age and it worked perfectly, or it didn't work at all, that's super valuable. I'll come to that in a moment. But good question. One for us to reflect on. And then finally, for tertiary education, we've developed 4 plans of 3 hours. Oh, sorry. It's 2 times 90-minute interactive seminars. I see the seminars isn't very visible. But these are on the subjects of art, social science, European studies and law. That's one. And then environmental studies. And these can be used as lectures or in bigger in courses. I saw a question coming in about the licensing. So okay. Thank you, Abdul. CCYSA, indeed. And at the moment, for us, it's very important to hear how you would adapt it. We don't expect you to implement this in the classroom exactly like it is, because we know that as educators, you have your own way of teaching. You may have your own methodologies that you want to connect to. You have your own curriculum, and maybe with some slight adaptations, it can fit perfectly or better in the system that you work in. But of course, so this is inspiration, but of course we want to hear if there's things that are absolutely not that don't work or that are great, or we would like feedback to the plan as it is. But of course, in the end, we do expect that as an educator, you're adapting to your needs.
Yeah, I can just highlight, if you adapt something because it makes more sense, that's feedback we want to know, because at the end of the project, we would submit them for everybody to take. So feel free to adapt them, and feel free, please, to let us know if it worked better this way.
Yeah, thank you, Abdul. Absolutely. So, and any adaptations or improvements that you might make, even though it might be context specific, it's still useful feedback for us, because we can still provide it as alternative ways of using the material, or adapt if it's necessary. Are there more questions in the chat? No, okay, that's it. Great. All right, so then comes hello?
Yeah, we hear you well.
Here. Yeah, I couldn't see my slides. Okay, so the red circle you're seeing, that's where we are now. That's what I've just been showing you, or the lesson plans at least. We've been developing this. And so now it's time for the piloting, not the co-creation. I think Abdul already introduced this, but this is just to show you the context of where in the project this is. engaging educators for soil literacy. So really, we're looking for educators. And then the question is, what we ask from you. I was hoping for, yeah, this is, oh no. Yeah. I'm missing some text here. I'm missing some text. Okay, well, what we ask is if you are an educator, we would love for you to take the course material that suits your classroom environment or your subjects and test it, pilot it. If you're not an educator, but you're in touch with educators, please forward this to them and the relevant lesson. And yeah, for anyone who might be interested in piloting, you will receive the lesson plans that we have developed in a separate form. For example, if you say I'm only teaching primary, you will just receive that one, or at least you can just open that one. And each lesson plan includes a QR code or a link, both of them. But if you print it off, it's easy to scan the QR code to a feedback form. And this is really important for us. Please, after you've implemented or while you're preparing, note things down that you find or that you run into, things that you really like, things that are more difficult to work with or not easy to understand, well, anything. So that once you've actually implemented, that you can fill out the feedback form, so we can improve. And here it is very important that if you pilot 2 lessons, for example, you're a biology teacher, but you also teach chemistry. I don't know how often it happens, but it could be. If you implement both, please fill out the feedback form twice so that we know which part of the feedback is for which lesson plan. So that's quite important for us, that we know exactly what you're responding to. Part of the slides fell away. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sorry for that. But I suppose unless there's any questions, I'll get back to you in a second. But I suppose the important thing now is when can you start? Well, today. That is to say, we have, of course, the version in English, and we've got translations for French. It says English, but it's Dutch. So if you live in France, I won't name the country, but any country where you speak these languages, we can, however, of course, translate into multiple languages depending on your interest. So I saw that a pop-up earlier. I don't know if it's still there. Thank you, Abdul. If you say, okay, that's great that you have it in Dutch, but I don't speak Dutch, please translate it to German or to Italian. We can do that, but because it's so much work, we try to do it more for the countries that are immediately interested.
Voilà, so as I mentioned for the word Soil Museum, we will translate it in all languages, just in which priority. So I see, for instance, Mario, you would be interested to see the lessons because you need to use them for potentially next Monday. Please vote on the country and the language if you would like to tell us this is a priority and voilà.
Exactly. Yeah. And you will already receive, if you want the English version, so you can maybe prepare. But of course, it will be available in all languages indeed. One thing that is a strict deadline is we need to have your responses, your feedback after the piloting. So after you've implemented by the end of May, so May 31st, it's a Sunday, I believe, but I will not ask you to work on Sunday necessarily, but end of May. Because we have to still implement it into the reporting. We have to make the adjustments in the materials itself. So I think that's it for me. I can stop sharing, or if there's still a slide you would like me to go back to.
Maybe the slide with the list of all the themes, the art, science. I think it was the 3rd slide.
Yes.
If we can pause on that slide for a little bit.
Of course.
And if there is any questions.
Okay, so There's a question for a French translation, so that's actually already there. So you can start from today. That's no issue. So as for the consent, this is because we're not researching, like, or we're not asking for, like, how do you say, we're not collecting data from students. So this is just a classroom implementation. So you do not need parental consent for this, if that helps. So this is really if you can connect this somehow to your curriculum, and if you think, hey, this makes sense for me to teach here, or I have some free space. I know most curricula are packed, but still, if you can connect it in a nice way, you can just implement it and give us back your feedback. But it's unrelated to sort of this research that we were doing with, for example, the SLAF. Where can we access the lesson plans? I couldn't see it on the.
Yeah, I can take it from there if it's there, but maybe can somebody confirm we have to end all activities? No, CURIOSOIL ends January 2028, but then we have different milestones to achieve, deadlines to meet, for the developers to be ready, and so that we don't delay all the rest. So no, CURIOSOIL ends in January 2028, and then for each different activity we have a different deadline. Voila. And
where
could, sorry,
I think Georgie asked about where they can access the lesson plans.
Yeah, I will answer that just in a bit to stay on the questions.
Sorry. Yeah.
Delphine, I don't understand your question. So you mean those who are doing the SLAF to pilot the lessons afterward? Is that your question?
Yes, after the questionnaire, can they test?
100% yes. This is exactly the right pathway. We make the soil literacy assessment framework. We know the current level, and then we start to learn and to do activities, and we will measure after in a year again. Yes.
But where can we find the French version?
I will share it right now.
Okay.
Just now, Mario, it's two different things. Your collaboration with Sarah Silva on the mapping of soil initiatives outside of soil education is a totally different topic. So anything Sarah tells you on that task, she's correct. And me, I'm mainly talking about other activities of CURIOSOIL. So Sarah is 100% correct for the collaboration you have on that subsidy and on the specific topic.
Yeah, and I believe that is more. Yeah. No. So this is specifically for implementation in these levels of education. Mostly done, and as I said, we're talking about educators, teachers, lecturers. It doesn't necessarily just need to be for formal education, but these were developed for formal education. Yes, I think that also answers Ruth's question, Ruth, about the implementation at schools, or can they be applied to the same to students with the same age? It can be. As I said, yeah, they are created for formal education, but of course, if you're working with it and you're already finding some feedback or things that don't work or that work great, yeah, it's still valuable feedback.
Yeah, sorry, Mirt, if I can contact you later, because I have a PhD student that is working on this connection between soil and heart. And it could be nice because she's going to have some activities with students, and could be nice for her also to interact with you and to give some support also to the implementation, but to have some connection also with her PhD. It could be a good opportunity.
Yeah, we can be in touch for sure. Yeah,
I will place the student in contact with you, and we can see if we can manage.
Yeah, for sure.
Mirte, can you put then your email in the chat, and I will then answer what you've been waiting for of where can we find all of those. So I will be sharing with you again, so this feedback form where you will be able to access the materials that we have prepared and translated. if you are working in other languages, you can also access the French and Dutch version, and little by little we will be adding all the languages. They have not been proofread yet in French and Dutch, just as a warning. It's good, but we need to proofread them more. Then you will access this folder with all the lessons per level, primary, secondary, tertiary school. And for instance, what is a lesson for a primary student? We explain for this soil science lesson plan. Again, on the top, you'll find the feedback form or the QR code to scan for the feedback form. And you have all the description of the lesson plan to do. So that's
yeah, no, exactly. So all the different learning goals are there, objectives and how it aligns with the SLAF as well, so you can relate it to it, and then the whole lesson structure. Because there's a couple of this one it looks quite long, I know, because there's a couple of experiments in there, and it's completely written out how to, set up the experiment. So don't be scared by it. When I read through it, because it's a colleague of mine who created it, I was done within no time, and it reads really nicely. But yeah, so really don't feel discouraged by that. And for in the future, we are working on recording also some of these activities so that you can already see what it will look like in the end.
I wanted to share a more visual one for this one on art. Voilà. Soil as art. So the whole guideline of why are we discussing about soil in an art context, and the whole lesson plan about it. So we have documents with structure of the objective, and we have more visual elements.
Yeah. And this is for tertiary, I think. Yeah. Are there any more questions? Emanuela, for the age of 12 to 13, can we mix primary and secondary ideas? In the basis, I would say yes. I'm just thinking in terms of feedback collection, what is useful, because yes, you can do that, but then please, yeah, this is going to be a bit stupid, but fill out the feedback form twice, indicating one time for the one exercise and one time for the other. It's, yeah. Maybe we can discuss it, because yeah, we didn't really foresee this part. I think for me, I say yes, please, because it's very useful to have the input and to have your feedback and to have you work with it. But see if you can then separate in your feedback what you're responding to.
You can give feedback on the feedback form, basically.
Okay, yes.
Well, and again, to answer the question about adaptation, feel free to adapt. If you adapt, please let us know how it went and how we can improve it. And indeed, double feedback where this is engagement opportunities offering. Let's not lose the main objective, that the materials that we produce are of high quality, being tested, and that can be used beyond our circle. Anything we do is to serve that purpose. And we are at your service, Mirti, myself, and the whole CURIOSOIL team to help with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So thank you. We are getting into a close. This was, as always, a very rich of content and engagement opportunities. You will receive the recording, an email with all the links, and an article. I also am looking forward to testimonies to add with my article. So if you would like to write a few lines about how this meeting was for you and what you learn, feel free to send it to me, and I will be featuring it in our communications. Voilà, so this is my email for any testimonies. Otherwise, for those who will meet, we have the luck to meet in the CURIOSOIL national workshops that are happening throughout Europe. Last week we had Italy, France, Germany, Romania 3 weeks ago. So a little more are happening along the way. And otherwise, I will give you the next date for the COP meeting, the summer COP meeting, which will be on the 15th of June. And since we will be closing the national workshop, we will start preparing the annual conferences, where we will showcase the results of the soil education policy analysis. We will conclude part of the soil education piloting and start another. Voila, that's you will be receiving an invitation for it. And I see a raised hand. Yes, please.
Thank you, Abdul. I'll just take the opportunity because I see there's a few members here from Portugal, and just give them an update on our Portugal workshops. They will be in April. We'll be giving you the dates and the times soon, but I just wanted to give you the heads up that we'll be doing our workshops in person in Aveiro, and they will be in April, just so you know. But we'll give you the dates and all the details soon. There'll be two separate ones, one for primary and secondary education, and one for tertiary and adult education, or university and tertiary education separately, in person.
Thank you, Armando. I hope you get this chance to join. We had the chance with Delphine to meet last week with the French one. It was a good moment, very good moment. With that, I thank you all for your presence today. Wish you a great start of the week.